There are girls who are attracted to you, but will never say it out loud, not because you're not good enough, and not because she wants to play mind games, simply because that is not how women usually express interest. Their attraction rarely lies in words, it lies in behaviour, in very small, very ordinary details, but when repeated often enough, they are no longer accidental. And in this video, I want to talk to you about 7 subtle signs that a woman is attracted to you. Signs that you can very easily miss if you're not paying attention. The reason men often fail to notice these signs is actually not hard to understand. Men are used to looking for clear signals, a direct compliment, a straightforward invitation, a decisive action. We are taught that if someone likes us, they will say it, or at least make it very obvious. But women are different. For them, safety always comes first. Before opening up, they need to observe, they need to test reactions, they need to see whether you are perceptive, whether you are calm, and whether you make them feel comfortable being around you. So instead of speaking directly, they reveal their feelings through small actions, gently and very discreetly. This does not mean that men lack intuition, and it does not mean that women are complicated or hard to understand. It is simply that the two sides are looking at different things. You look at words, they express themselves through behaviour, and when no one ever points this out to you, missing the signal is completely normal. I used to be like that. I used to replay conversations in my head, wondering whether I was imagining things. Later, after observing long enough, I realised that the problem was not whether signals existed or not, but whether I was looking in the right place. So if you have ever felt confused before, ever blamed yourself for not noticing sooner, stay calm. You're not stupid. You're not lacking in value. You simply were never taught what these signs actually look like, and from this point on, you will begin to see things more clearly. The first sign, and also the most common one, is eye contact, but not the kind of staring that makes people uncomfortable. I'm talking about eye contact that lingers just a little longer than normal, just one extra beat. She looks at you, holds it for a moment, then looks away. It may come with a very slight smile, or nothing at all, as if nothing happened. But if you pay attention, you will feel that the moment is different. It is not accidental. There is a connection. This kind of eye contact does not create pressure. It does not force you to react immediately. It is like a wordless question, a very gentle way of checking whether you notice her back. And the most important thing is repetition. Once could be a coincidence. But if, within the same conversation, or across multiple encounters, that look appears again and again, then it is no longer random. It is her way of maintaining your presence in the space between the two of you. Many men miss this sign because they think that if she likes them, her gaze must be clearer, more intense. But in reality, it is the opposite. When emotions are involved, women often restrain themselves. They do not want to reveal too much. Holding eye contact for just one extra beat is enough to create a connection, while still feeling safe. If you have ever experienced moments of silence that did not feel awkward at all, just briefly looking at each other and then continuing the conversation, that is very likely the first sign you should pay attention to. The second sign is a bit more subtle, and most people only recognize it in hindsight. It is mirroring, or simply unconscious synchronization. You change your posture, and after a while, she does the same. You slow down your speech, and her speaking rhythm also slows down. You lean back, and a few minutes later, she does the same thing. It is not an obvious imitation, but something very natural. So natural that if you're not paying attention, you will not even notice it. Mirroring is not a tactic. It is not something someone deliberately does to impress. It is a psychological reflex that occurs when a person feels comfortable and has positive feelings toward the person in front of them. The body automatically synchronizes to create a sense of closeness, and what matters most is that it happens when she is not trying at all. That is precisely why it is reliable. If you notice that she gradually starts speaking in a rhythm closer to yours, that her gestures begin to feel more familiar, that is a sign she feels safe within the shared space between the two of you. Not everyone does this with everyone. It only happens when there is a certain level of connection, and just like eye contact, once does not mean much. But if this synchronization continues throughout the conversation, it is a very clear signal that she is tuning into your rhythm, both emotionally and attentively. The second sign is more subtle, and also something many people only realize in hindsight. It is called mirroring, or more simply, unconscious synchronization. You change how you sit, and after a while, she changes too. You lean forward while speaking, and a few seconds later, she leans in as well. You slow your speech, lower your tone slightly, and you notice her speaking rhythm gradually becoming more like yours. It is not an obvious imitation, not awkward at all, but very natural, so natural that if you are not paying attention, you might think it is just a coincidence. But in reality, it is not. Mirroring is a psychological reflex that occurs when someone feels comfortable and has positive feelings toward the person they are with. When being near someone feels good, the body automatically wants to synchronize to create a sense of closeness. No thinking required, no effort involved. It is simply the brain's way of saying, I feel safe here, and precisely because it is unintentional, it is worth paying attention to. What matters is that mirroring does not happen with everyone. She may interact perfectly normally with others, but when she talks to you, the rhythm begins to shift. The way she sits, the way she moves her hands, even the speed at which she responds, starts to resemble yours more closely. This is not a sign of acting or trying to impress. It is a sign of resonance. Many men overlook this sign because it is too subtle, too ordinary. But if you observe long enough, you will notice something interesting. When this synchronization appears consistently throughout a conversation, it shows that she is not only listening to you, but is also unconsciously adjusting herself to align with you. And on an instinctive level, that is one of the clearest expressions of attraction. The next sign is so everyday that many people notice it and then dismiss it. It is the way she tidies herself up when she is near you, brushing her hair back, adjusting her collar, lightly pulling her sleeve, touching her necklace, or the ring on her hand. At first glance, these actions seem completely normal. Anyone can do them, and it is true that brushing one's hair does not automatically mean attraction. Sometimes it is just a habit. Sometimes it is simply because of an itch. The difference lies in context and repetition. If these actions happen while she's talking to you, especially when the conversation feels connected, then their meaning changes. That is grooming, a natural reflex that occurs when someone wants to look a little better in front of the person they care about, not to impress in an obvious way, but as a very slight, very unconscious adjustment. What matters is not to focus on a single instance. One time alone does not mean anything, but if throughout a conversation, or across multiple encounters, you notice that she repeatedly adjusts her hair, touches her jewelry, or pays more attention to her appearance when she's near you, then that is a sign worth noting, not because she's trying to seduce you, but because at a very natural level, she wants to present herself in the best possible way in front of you. Many men misinterpret this sign because they think it is too small to matter, but the truth is, small behaviors like these often say far more than words. When someone cares, they do not need to say it. Their body already does it for them. There is one sign that many people miss simply because they do not think a voice can reveal that much, but in reality, it can. When a woman is attracted to you, her voice often changes, even if only slightly. It becomes a bit softer, a bit slower, and more pleasant compared to how she speaks with others. Not a change so obvious that it makes you suddenly notice, but something you feel rather than immediately identify. If you pay attention, you will notice the difference between how she speaks with her friends and how she speaks with you. With friends, her voice may be louder, faster, more carefree. But when she turns to you, her voice naturally softens. It may slow down to maintain the rhythm of the conversation. It may drop slightly, feel a bit closer. This is not acting. It is not intentional flirtation. It is a reflex that occurs when someone wants to create a more private connection with the person in front of them. Voice is a deeply instinctive element. When we feel safe and have positive feelings, the body automatically adjusts to become more approachable. And women often do this without even realizing it. They are not sitting there thinking about how to speak in an attractive way. It simply happens, very naturally. Many men overlook this sign because they focus too much on the content of the conversation and forget how it is being delivered. But if you have ever felt that when she talks to you, the atmosphere becomes lighter, slower, and more comfortable, then it is very likely a sign that she wants to hold on to that connection a little longer. This sign is quite sensitive, so it needs to be observed correctly and very slowly. I'm not talking about obvious or boundary-crossing actions. I'm talking about very light touches, so subtle that if you're not paying attention, you might think they are accidental. She lightly touches your hand when she laughs, touches your shoulder to emphasize a point, or sit a little closer to you, even though there is still plenty of space around. These actions do not create pressure. They happen very naturally, as if there were no intention at all. In reality, this is how many women test the boundaries of safety. Not to control you, but to observe your reaction. She wants to know whether you are comfortable, whether you're calm, and whether you make her feel safe being near you. And the most important thing here is not her action, but your response. If you do not flinch, do not tense up, do not overreact, then in her mind, the level of safety increases. Many men misunderstand this sign and rush forward too quickly. They assume that physical contact is a green light to escalate, but in reality, it is the opposite. These small touches are only exploratory steps. It is like she's opening the door just a crack to see whether what is inside is safe. If you push the door too hard, she will close it immediately. At this stage, attraction does not lie in what you do next. It lies in not making her feel the need to be defensive. Maintain calmness, maintain respect. Show her that you are comfortable with closeness, but not in a hurry to claim it. That subtlety is what keeps the distance between the two of you at a comfortable level and makes her want to stay near you a little longer. This sign is very subtle, yet it says a great deal. It is when she remembers small details about you, things that even you sometimes forget. It could be a food you like, a casual story you once mentioned, or a very minor detail from your everyday life. These things mean nothing to a stranger, but when she brings them up again, at the right moment, in the right context, you will feel that you have left an impression. Human memory is closely tied to emotion. We do not remember everything. We only remember what matters to us. So when a woman remembers small details about you, it shows that you did not just exist in the conversation, but continued to exist in her thoughts afterward. She spent time thinking about you, even if only briefly. Many men underestimate this sign because it is not loud. There are no obvious gestures, no affirming statements, but precisely because of that, it is reliable. No one makes an effort to remember small details about someone they do not care about. It happens naturally when emotion has attached itself to memory. If you have ever been surprised when she brings up something you mentioned a long time ago, do not immediately assume that she simply has a good memory. That may be true, but it may also be because, in her mind, you already occupy a certain place. And on an emotional level, that is one of the clearest signs that attraction exists. The final sign is also the strongest, because it happens when you're not there. It is when you meet her friends, and they already know about you. They know your name, they know what you do, they know a few personal things that you only shared in casual conversation. Some of them may even joke, "We've heard about you." These things do not happen by accident. No one spends time talking about someone they do not care about. When a woman talks about you to her friends, it means you have moved beyond polite interaction. You've been in her thoughts long enough and often enough to become a topic, not to show off, not to impress, but because you left an emotional mark. And when emotions are clear enough, people tend to share them with those they trust. That is why this sign is so powerful. It is not in gestures, it is not in direct words. It is a fact that you have entered her private world. However, one thing needs to be made clear. A single sign, even a strong one, can still be a coincidence. Life does not always operate by formulas, but when multiple signs appear together, repeat themselves, and remain consistent over time, then it is no longer imagination, it is information. And what matters now is not that you rush to do something next, but that you do not deny your own value. Attraction does not always lead to immediate results, and it does not require you to rush. What makes you more attractive in these moments is calmness, self-respect, the ability to observe without being hasty. When you understand these signs, you do not need to try harder, you simply need to maintain your own rhythm. And sometimes, that lack of urgency is precisely what makes someone want to come closer.